Hello fellow mutants, welcome back to another video, and in this video we're going to talk about how apparently according to this movie web site, there should be an animated Luke Skywalker series. And they list 6 reasons why Luke Skywalker should get or needs to get a animated series. And I gotta say, I'm kind of torn because, if it was under the Lucas umbrella, I would probably say, yeah, go ahead. I'm excited to see an animated Luke Skywalker series. But, Disney, I'm kind of hesitant because, not every, I've been disappointed by more products than I've been pleased with the Disney reign of Star Wars. I feel like for the most part, I've enjoyed their animated stuff. Like, Clone Wars I enjoyed. Rebels I've enjoyed for the most part. Tales of the Jedi I enjoyed. What else? Visions I enjoyed. So I enjoyed the animated stuff. Resistance is the only one I didn't really enjoy all too well. But the other anime series that I've seen, on more so under the Disney umbrella, I've enjoyed for the most part. I guess if it's Dave Filoni, maybe. I feel like he's the best person to tackle Luke Skywalker than anyone else. If it's not going to be George Lucas, but I don't know. I just really want, there's going to be a Luke Skywalker anime series. I want someone who really understands the character of Vader. And who's going to, honor the character of Luke Skywalker, George Lucas, and the essence of Star Wars, too. Kind of I feel like Dave Filoni has, for the most part. Anyways, let's see the 6 reasons why Luke Skywalker needs a animated show, and maybe I will be convinced after this, shall we? And maybe you guys too. Anyways, let's go. Building on the success of the Clone Wars. While Star Wars had produced animated series before, the first of these shows to really find a wide audience was Filoni's Clone Wars series, which began in 2008. The series went set between the events of Episode 2, Attack of the Clones, and Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, but detailing the adventures of Anakin Skywalker, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Ahsoka Tano, and many other Jedi during this time period. The Clone Wars was able to drastically shift a lot of fans' perspectives of the prequel era of Star Wars. The Clone Wars proved that the animated style that featured familiar characters does not take away from those characters in any way. In fact, it's quite the opposite. The Clone Wars really developed and fleshed out the characters of Anakin and Obi-Wan, and now many fans view those animated versions as the definitive iterations of the characters. The show did, while also introducing some franchise's best characters, such as Ahsoka and Captain Rex, and better utilizing other characters like Darth Maul. The success of the Clone Wars has nothing but strengthened the love of the prequels, and in doing so, it had brought out die-hard Star Wars fans together. I mean, I guess a Luke Skywalker show, if it's set between I guess the events of I guess now Book of Boba and The Force Awakens, we could see what Luke did after saying goodbye to Grogu, how he started his Jedi Academy and how it fell under Kylo Ren's role. But I don't know. That I can kind of see them doing a 2, maybe 3 season arc on. Anyways. Connecting Luke more deeply to the wider universe, the Star Wars galaxy is a massive, and one of the greatest benefits of the previous animated series has been exploring the different areas of the universe to make it feel more cohesive cohesive and enshrined. A Luke Skywalker animated series could take its titular character and show how he was also connected to the galaxy at large, perhaps even beyond the context of the rebellion. This could lead him to meeting other characters like Hondo Hanaka or Hera Syndulla. This would be Luke. This will make Luke feel more like a natural extension of Anakin in Clone Wars, and it would further establish why he was considered such a legend by the time of The Force Awakens. And yeah, that's true. I mean, if they do it well, let's say it, if they do it well, then they could like really build on the greatness of Luke Skywalker, and yes, show us like why he was such a legend by the time of like the sequel trilogy came along. And I gotta say, one benefit before I continue, one benefit of having a Luke Skywalker show, whether it's animated or live action, is that we get to like see the reasons why Luke was in hiding for all that time, right? And why he was so reluctant on coming back. Because I refuse to believe Luke sensing the darkness, he ignited his lightsaber, and him like pretty much nearly killing his nephew is the reason why he was in he put himself in exile for so long. If anything, and I know some of y'all might be saying, well, Phil, what the hell? But hear me out. If Luke Skywalker had a love interest, right? Rather they bring in Mara Jade back into canon, or another Star Wars character that is Luke Skywalker's love interest in Disney's canon. If Ben Solo, now Kylo Ren, killed off Mara Jade, or whoever is supposed to be the Mara Jade of Disney Star Wars, then we can kind of get more, like, understand a bit more why Luke was so reluctant to coming back, why he was hiding for so long. Because him nearly killing his nephew not only, like, led to his nephew joining the dark side, his academy being demolished, but also it led to the end of his love of his life, right? And it could be like, maybe she was pregnant. Maybe Ben Solo also killed their unborn child. Maybe Ben Luke sent his kid away, or kids away, for safety, and told them not to come out until the time is right. Kind of pulling Yoda in Revenge of the Sith. And maybe he doesn't want to and maybe he's too afraid that if he copes out, then like his sister Han and Leia may die. Well, essentially that's like Han died in The Force Awakens, then Leia died in The Rise of Skywalker. But like pretty much like Ben Solo, like that was still getting murdered by someone in the First Order. Was again, if that was his fear came true in The Force Awakens. And I will say it is most likely because Luke Skywalker did not show up in the galaxy to help the resistance against the First Order when he's probably sure of. That said, let's continue. Answering lingering questions. Even though Luke is one of the most popular characters in Star Wars, there's still a lot of lingering questions about his life. People still wonder about his adventures between the films of the original trilogy, how he sought to rebuild the Jedi Order, and what challenges he faced along the way. The series could showcase how and when Ahsoka and Luke met for the first time, as well as how he recruited students to his new Jedi Order before things turned to disaster. Now, granted that, yeah, the Ahsoka show is currently out right now. Like, it's currently coming out with its episodes, right? I think Well, by the time I'm recording this video, episode 4 has yet to come out. Now, episode 4 and maybe 5 may have come out already by the time this video is aired, but by the time this video is being made, episode 4 has yet to come out. But my point is, they could always also as well show how Luke and Ahsoka met in the Ahsoka show, and then kind of do like they did with Grogu surviving Order 66, so a little snippet of it in the Ahsoka show, and then further explain it in the Luke Skywalker show. So there's an idea. Anyways, with the decisive direction that Luke Skywalker was taken in Episode 8, The Last Jedi, this animated series could provide additional context and perhaps redeem the film in the eyes of many fans, just as the Clone Wars did for the prequels, and more adventures with the most popular character in the series. By taking the animated approach to Luke Skywalker, Star Wars would be providing fans with the opportunity to spend a lot more time with iconic Jedi. With Luke's story in the original trilogy is already brilliantly told, and the character is very well established within those films. There are undoubtedly more stories that can be told with that character, both during the rebellion and after. In the timeline, there has been 3 years between the events of A New Hope and Empire Strikes Back, and another year passes between Empire and Return of the Jedi. The gaps in between films provide plenty of room to tell new stories of Luke and the rebellion. And that's true, they can. Also, post Russian trilogy, where he actually rebuilds the Jedi Order and give us actual reasons why Luke said, "Fuck the universe, I'm not doing this anymore." Also, I nearly killed my nephew. I don't want to do this anymore. While many of these stories have been already explored through our mediums, such as Star Wars comics and novels, such as Heir to the Empire, those stories could be expanded upon, or even directly adapted into the new animated series. The series Tales of the Jedi has already first on this territory a bit, as it adapted portions of E.K. Johnson's novel Ahsoka. Alternatively, the series could be set immediately after Return of the Jedi and detail many of Luke's adventures between the end of that film and his later appearance in The Mandalorian and the Book of Boba Fett. So the benefits of animation versus live action. There is a lot of potential benefits to telling the story of Luke's other adventures in animation. One of the biggest is that the franchise would feel less inclined to shoehorn Luke into its new live action stories. While it was exciting to see him in The Mandalorian and Book of Boba Fett, it was also a bit of a mixed bag because they chose not to recast him and instead brought him to life with questionable digital effects. By bringing Luke in animation, Lucasfilm could avoid this pitfall moving forward. If they wanted him to interact with other major characters, but don't want to recast him in live action, bring those other characters into Luke's own animated story. And I can honestly see that. I can see that. So, Mark Hamill's history with animation. So finally, one of the biggest benefits of bringing the adventures of Luke Skywalker in animation is that they would not have to recast the role at all. That's because Mark Hamill has already has an extensive and impressive resume of voice acting in animated shows and films. After his work on the original trilogy, Hamill went on to become one of the most celebrated voice actors of his generation. And that was partly because, I've heard Luke Skywalker kind of, made Mark Hamill's career in the live action world a bit tough because now everyone saw Mark Hamill's Luke Skywalker. So like that's why he kind of I first that's why he came into voice acting was now he's like known as Luke Skywalker and the Joker as like his two most like prominent roles. I feel like, and correct me if I'm wrong. If there's like a few more that he's well known for, but those are the only two that comes to mind. Anyways, with that, it would be no stretch to ask him to come back and portray Luke once again through voicing the character in an animation style series. That will allow Lucasfilm to tell stories of the younger Luke Skywalker without having to recast or without having to rely on a hit or miss visual effect. The only thing I'll say about that, because that's good, like, especially, like, depends on, like, how far away from Return of the Jedi and how close to the, somewhat close to the sequel trilogy they, have it. Where, like, Mark Hamill could literally talk like himself, right? I feel like if they're going to do like right after essentially Return of the Jedi around like the Mando first time, I feel like they might have to like actually cast a person to play Luke at that time if Mark Hamill can't do it, and then like have like a year or two jump, right? A few years jump after season 1 or 2 or 3, right? Where now Luke Skywalker kind of sounds like the Mark Hamill that we knew from the sequel trilogy, right? I mean, I want like there's people that are talented enough to like portray like other actors' voices, right? Because like in Rebels season 4, the Twin Sons episode had Obi-Wan Kenobi, the dude who played Obi-Wan, the voice, he sounded like he could have been Alice Guinness. Sir Alice Goodness. I probably butchered the last name, so I do apologize. So, like, if that guy did a good job, and there was this person in Star Wars Resistance, which I'm not a huge fan of that show, but I will credit them this. The person they got for Leia did sound a lot like Carrie Fisher in the sequel trilogy. So, them casting a guy who sounds like Luke Skywalker and, like, it's actually from Return of the Jedi. I like, dude, that no brainer. That would be cool. And then, like I said, later on in the series, may have a few some years time gap where Mark Hamill could come in, return as Luke Skywalker, boom, pow. But anyways, I can see where they're coming from. Like, and then animated Star Wars show for Luke Skywalker could have more good to it than negative if they do it right. And that's only if they do it right. Luke Skywalker is my favorite Jedi. And like I said towards the beginning of this video, I would absolutely love, for Luke Skywalker to have his own show and get what some of his adventures since Return of the Jedi to, I guess in this case, Force Awakens being told, and give us like reasons why he was the way he was in The Last Jedi. I would love to get that story. Honestly, if it's done but only if someone can has a deep understanding of Luke Skywalker and has deep appreciation for Star Wars and has a deep love for Star Wars, that can beautifully connect, can beautifully tell us Luke Skywalker's adventures and essentially eventually why Luke Skywalker was essentially the asshole hermit that we saw in The Last Jedi. But so I'm kind of torn on this one, whether I really want it or not, because like I said, I'm a huge Star Wars fan. I've been a Star Wars fan since I was 11, but Disney Star Wars I'm kind of been more disappointed than I've been happy with it. So I don't know. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section down below. Love you guys. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. Be kind to one another. I will talk to you fellow mutants later. May the force be with us all.